Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's a very special episode. We're welcoming back to the stage Pete Schnepp. Pete is a newly released author in our most recent Business Leaders Volume 11 edition of Mission Matters. For those of you that have been following for a long time, it's a best-selling business leaders book series, and proud to add Pete to the lineup of authors. First off, Pete, Matt, welcome back to the show. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me back, Adam.
All right. So Pete, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Pete, what mission matters to you?
The mission that matters to me is chasing your dreams and creating a life of freedom and really pursuing a life that you want with intention.
Yeah, Pete. And I've followed your work, and I've seen the way you've built your business from what you've told on the show, and we've done multiple interviews with each other now. And I don't want to assume that maybe some of our newer audience caught some of our previous work. So I guess just start with a little bit more about how you got into real estate and really your philosophy behind like how you invest.
Yeah, sure. Well, it goes back. I've been in real estate and construction for many, many years, but I started off as a salary guy building houses for home builders. And then I started my own company as a contractor, as a painting contractor. And, 15, 17 years now, I still own that business. But I had set a goal to really start buying some income property because I came to this realization that even as a contractor, although I was self-employed, I could make a decent living for myself, but I was never going to truly get wealthy. And the wealthy people that I encountered as my clients, they all owned a bunch of real estate, and none of them got there painting houses. None of them got there with a regular job. And so over the years, my mission became to work my tail off as a contractor in order to buy real estate. That's kind of the backstory.
And I think that is a great transition to the book. And especially your book title, right? The only reason to work is to buy real estate. So you're obviously practicing what you preach. But first thing first, how do you feel, man? You're a newly minted author. How does it feel?
It's always good. It's been a bucket list thing, really, to just get some of my thoughts and beliefs down in writing. One, to just solidify the stuff that's in my head, but two, to really have something to pass on to my kids as well. It's kind of when you've got a book or something in writing, it just needs a little bit more than when you're just telling your kids what you believe. And then it also allows me to share my beliefs with other people that want to really deep dive into my thinking.
So I'm a big fan of your title. Like, how'd you come up with the title, the angle, a lot of different things you could have written about, like talk about why this specific angle was important to you. And then also the title, the only reason to work is to buy real estate. When I read it, I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to share a little bit about that. I'll ask you a quick question first to lead into that. So when you're at home and you're with your family, your wife, kids, your pets, and somebody knocks on the door, what do you think is happening?
I get worried. I'm like, what's going on? Was somebody trying to sell me something, or I don't know. Like, that's the first thing I'm thinking about. Am I expecting any guests? Did anybody invite anybody over?
Yeah. Right. So it's like, okay, is it somebody selling pest control or solar? But several years ago, I got a knock on the door that really just changed things for me. I went through a period of time for about a year or so where every time I felt like somebody was outside coming to knock on the door, my stomach just churned and I just wanted to throw it. I get the same feeling every time I went to the mailbox to check the mail, which normally should be a good feeling as a contractor because I would go to pick up checks to take.
Yeah, get some checks.
So for a year, every time somebody came to the door or I go to the mailbox, I really just got this turning feeling in my stomach like I was going to puke. And it all started because one day I got served legal papers. So my not part of the process. And so we had, all of a sudden I was being sued because, it was kind of, I would call it frivolous. Like one of our clients was suing us because they felt like we did something wrong. The reality was that we didn't, but they didn't have anybody else to blame it on. And so long story short, we went through the process and what I had was this moment of realization that everything that I had been working my tail off building, working 10 or 12 hours a day for, grinding away to provide this life for my family of comfort, could be gone in an instant.
Wow.
The big lawsuit. And so I was facing this lawsuit that could have put me out of business. And really, it was not our fault. And you tried everything you can to do to justify it to the judge. But it comes down to contractual mumbo jumbo, right? It's out of my control. Luckily, the worst case scenario did not happen. But it was that moment of truth for me, realizing that, okay, I thought I had done everything that I should to be a good husband and a good father for my kids, to provide a decent life, but it could all be gone in an instant. Before that, when I was an employee in the home building business, building homes, I had a salary job. I was comfortable. There was a good culture in place. I rode the boom and bust of 2007 and 2008. And you know what? I saw everybody around me getting laid off. Show up Friday and they get a pink slip. And boom, everything that they had been working for, gone. These are people that had been corporate guys working there for 10, 15 or more years, 20 years, and it's just gone. So when I think about real estate and what that's done for me, it started as a backup plan, because I realized that everything that I'm building right now could be gone. How am I going to provide for my family if something like that happens? And so it started off as, well, I need to have a second stream of income that comes in to where I don't even need to work for it. There's a lot of ways people can get wealthy out there and create those income streams. But to me, owning income property was really the least risk with the highest potential reward that requires the least amount of time, because you can outsource management, so on and so forth. And so for me, working as a contractor, even after that, it really just became a means to an end in order to buy real estate, because I knew that once I acquired enough real estate, that would put me in a position to where I was no longer reliant on my source of income. It was that the path to no longer be reliant on the primary source of income. That help you understand where the title came from?
Absolutely. And go a little bit further into, or I should say, let's go into your investment thesis, because I know one of the things that you're a long-term investor in many things. And I just want to get into okay, so now you knew you had to acquire real estate, and there's a lot of different ways you can get into the real estate game, or different methodologies for investing in real estate. Like how did you pick your focus? How did you pick your niche, your lane?
Well, I knew that real estate is a long game. I knew a lot of people that got burned in 07, 08 because they were buying properties that didn't have cash flow. The mindset was, well, I'll lose a couple of $100 a month on this rental, but I'm going to make $100,000 in a year,
Yeah.
And
that was the flip game in Phoenix for a while. Like a lot of people were playing hot potato, right?
Right. And so, I'm a student. I'm a student of the game. I spent many, many years just like following people, experts and stuff. And really, the model is that my conservative nature is, I buy for cash flow first and appreciation as a secondary thing. And so that's what I look for. But at the same time, I understand that most deals, they're never home runs out the gate. And so I'm a singles guy. I like to hit singles, but even that in the Phoenix market or any big market, it's tough to find things that pencil. But when you do, you take action on them. And so it was all about how much capital do I have. My goal was to every year to make enough money to where I could pay a reasonable lifestyle. We always lived below our means, and I would, whatever that spread was, I would try to put into a property that would, cash flow moderately from day one. So it started with single family homes, and then eventually grew to multifamily.
And as you started accumulating these properties, now, good thing was you're a contractor, so you knew a bit about just the properties in general you were looking at. What was that leap from when you went from maybe to single to multifamily, or like how did that piece of it work for you?
Yeah, so I had a handful of single family properties, and it was all good, but I also realized that one tenant moves out, and now you've got no rent for, a month or two and a big turn. And so I was like, well, how can I make, it to me is all the backup plan and the safety net. How do I make this investing thing even less risk? Well, you have more tenants. So the more tenants you have, each move out is less impactful. And so, If I have a 4-unit, then, one person moves out and I've still got three to pay the bills. And so
Yeah.
I started transitioning. I made a big goal that I wanted to buy a fourplex. I think this was in 2017. And I started, I'm also a realtor, so I see what's on the market and stuff. And I started making some offers, but I'm doing it at nights and on the weekends. And it's not easy. You've got to look at a lot of deals. Most of them don't make sense. You're learning the numbers. You're figuring things out. You're making offers, and I'm not getting any deals. I'm making an offer. I'm always getting outbid. And so I spent a few months like doing this, and it's really tough. I had a young family, young kids. I'm staying up late, like looking at, properties for sale, trying to do this on nights and weekends, and I was getting nowhere. And so finally I decided I needed to take massive action. So one weekend I went out, I looked at every single fourplex on the market in the area that I was looking at. And I literally wrote 10 offers on Saturday. And by the end of Sunday, going back and forth, I had 4 of them under contract.
Whoa.
I took 4 through due diligence. I got the inspections done and kept like kind of looking into them. And then afterwards, I decided to walk away from 2 of them, and I wound up buying 2 of them that were each other. So that's how I got into multifamily, figuring it out and taking massive action.
What kept you strong in that really pivotal time when you were like, okay, this is not working? Because I think you said you were doing it for like, was it 6 months or like an extended amount of time with nights and weekends and nothing's working? Like what kept you going, man?
Well, no, in the end, what kept me going was the end game. It's knowing that I was creating, if I can make this jump, that I'm going to create more passive income, which that's a myth in itself. Is real estate really passive or not? That's a whole nother conversation, but it's a lot more passive than running a business, right? You don't need employees and this and that. So I knew that in order for me to start moving towards that life of freedom that I had envisioned, this had to get done.
Yeah. And for the and so now your next stage is, and by the way, at this time, are you taking on investor capital, or is this all your own capital? Or like talk a little bit more about how the deals are actually getting done.
Yeah. So the first 15 years or so, I bought everything with my own money. It's kind of why it was just slow and steady. I never even knew that you could partner with people or raise capital. It was not even in my radar. But I mean, I guess in hindsight, it was good because I really learned how to perfect my craft and a little niche. And then, 2 or 3 years ago, I started doing some joint ventures, bringing in friends and family, and we do some syndications. And so now just depends on the deal. Some of them I'll do JVs. I'll bring in a few people. Some of them I'll do a JV with just one investor. There's a couple of people that we just I build portfolios with. They're the capital partner, and I'm the boots on the ground. And then occasionally I'll do a deal where I'll open it up to new people.
Yeah. Talk about what markets you're looking in.
Mostly I'm in Phoenix because this is really where I know best. All my resources are here. And we just closed on a property, actually.
I thought so. I saw it in your newsletter. I'm on your newsletter. What was it? Tell me more about that deal. I remember it was on the top of. I forgot to bring that up. Yeah, it was in your newsletter recently.
So that's in Indiana. It's a 24 unit, Northwest Indiana. It's actually Chicago MSA, which is cool. And my partner, actually, he's from this town, and he's moving back there. So he'll be the boots on the ground, which is the only reason I would buy a property.
That's what threw me off is I saw it. That's why when I was asking like the expansion or that, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't Pete's in Phoenix.
Yeah, you've got to have trusted resources where you buy. That's for sure. And so Mike's a rock star. Well, we're co-managers on that. And also I had been wanting to diversify as well because all of my assets are in Phoenix. And I love the Phoenix market. But I think at a certain point, just for my own peace of mind, like I'm always coming up with a plan B, just like I did. Real estate was a plan B. So, I want to make sure that I diversify a little bit of my asset base outside, just in case, like what if, all the what ifs, what if Phoenix just keeps getting too hot and people start moving out more than moving in, or what if the market that we're in right now in Indiana, it's really, really solid, more of a linear market, very low vacancy rates. It's an amazing property. So I was really happy with this one.
That's awesome. So speaking of, I mean, you are my expert in the Phoenix market. Like, talk to me. What's going on in Phoenix?
Well, I'm in all in acquisition mode. I'm trying to scoop up as much as I can, honestly. Like anybody that's trying to sell right now, it's not a good time to sell.
Hmm.
And so I would not recommend that. But if you're a buyer and you're not scared, and not sitting on the sidelines, I think this is, the second best time to buy real estate since 2009 and 2010. And this is it. The market has corrected, and so I'm all in. I'm a student of the game. I'm a student of the wealthy, and the wealthy always say, what's the Warren Buffett quote? Adam, you probably know, like, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm out there hunting. I'm making offers left and right. I'm making deals. I'm getting a lot of seller finance deals, and I'm scooping up some really, really nice properties because I'm not competing against anybody.
Wow.
Really, really a beautiful thing.
What kind of properties are you looking at? So are you, what size? What, like, give us a little bit of that piece.
So right now I have a 44 unit under contract in Central Phoenix. We've got a new development, a 30 unit, like tear down and redevelopment infill project that's coming online. I just put an offer on some land on Central right next to the light rail. I've got pretty good deal flow, so I'm always looking. I mean, I probably have at least a dozen deals that cross my desk a week. And so I'm always sifting through, and it's just a matter of which ones look enticing, who could my potential capital partners be, and how do we scoop it up, and where do I want to focus my time, really, because I've got just a lot of opportunity when you're in the game, when you are actively in the game like I am. There's so much opportunity. There really is, and it's just a matter of where is the best use of my time, which property, which project, and which partners.
It's awesome. Well, Pete, first off, it's great having you back on the show. I'm pumped to get out there, and we've been talking, you, myself, Corey, Janine. We got a little crew that we got building out there in Phoenix, so we're gonna be out there promoting the book, promoting Corey's show, Janine's show. So for some of the people that do podcasts on our network, so we got a whole lot. I got big plans for the Phoenix market, and it's just been we're so happy to have you part of the community, and Corey, Janine, everybody else out there that's part of the community. So we want to make some more noise in Arizona, that's for sure. But that being said, if somebody wants to learn more about Asset Stream Properties or connect with you and your team, whether they got deals, whether they are investors, whether they just want to chop it up about real estate, how do people connect?
Yeah, you can either look me up on LinkedIn or go to our website, assetstreamproperties.com. Both of them will have a place to, book a call or check me out, and we'll go from there for sure.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put the links in the show notes so you can just click on them and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Pete, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam. We'll talk to you soon.